Baltimore is more than crabs in the wire, and I'm here to share the real stories of the real, true talented people in the city who don't get the recognition that they deserve. Please sit back, relax, subscribe, and watch how we make the whole world want to be more like us. What up, world? We at week 5. Welcome back to Be More Like Us 410, right? And actually 4 people won the comment battles over the last 4 weeks. So make sure you go down to the bottom, type in real fast and say what's the best part of the interview, and you might win a free item. You never know. I mean, if you don't believe it, go to Mr. Be Easy Forever on Instagram. Check out our stories and see who the previous winners were. All right, but it could be you. But man, I'm so excited. Last week's entry, man. Chef T. That's what we're gonna call her, Chef T. She was killing it. It was our first lady interview, and she talked about all these different dynamics of being an entrepreneur and a wife, and how difficult that was, and how much she enjoyed what she did. But I can't tell y'all what she was talking about. If you missed it, make sure you go back last week and check that video out. But we focused on this week now. We got that over. Chef T killed that. I gotta go sign up for her baking classes myself, because I'm thinking about all the things that she was saying she baked. But anyway, be sure to like, click the click. Remember that? And subscribe to that channel, because you don't want to miss out on dope content, right? Man, I'm super excited about today's guest. I know y'all say I say that every week, but I'd be excited about my guest. Who wouldn't be, right? But this is another brother of mine, right? So we got another brother of mine. And the crazy thing is, I met this young brother in college. Now, a lot of y'all, if y'all don't know, y'all do know, I had a very brief stint in college, all right? I'm talking about like 2 years, right? So I left Poly, graduated, and got a Granville T. Wood scholarship. I got a full ride to BCCC. It was a new scholarship program. It was probably only like 2 years old when I got in there. I believe this gentleman was the class ahead of me, and I almost gave it away. And the thing is, we met in college. So even though I was only there for like 2 years, I met him there, and he was part of that class. And rest in peace, Miss Bowie. She was like a mother figure to me. She passed a couple years ago, I believe, due to cancer. But she did not play, man. She was on both of us, and I'm honored to be in a position to be talking to another entrepreneur from that small Granville T. Wood scholarship class that actually stayed in college, right? So he got more than 1 degree. So I'm a little jealous, but I'm gonna get there. But no, my brother, like none other, Mr. Brian Oles, man. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling great, man.
I think Miss Bowie here. I think she's smiling, man.
Smiling down, man. Gotta be. Well, listen, we go way back like car seats, bro. Like,
so tell everybody, who are you, where you from, and how did your childhood prompt you to be the man that you are today?
Yeah, man. Appreciate being here. So listen, I always tell people I'm the skinny kid from Baltimore.
I
was a lot skinnier, bro. I've been eating. We in quarantine too. But here's the deal. Baltimore. Both kids in Baltimore. Grew up single family home. I have an older brother. So he's 13 years older than me, and so I know a lot of people don't, but he's out there. Great big brother though, so I grew up with what I call pseudo single child syndrome. I felt like I was the only child, even though, because by the time I came along, my brother was in high school already. Right. And so I was a kid that grew up, and you know how they used to televise like the NASA space shuttle launches, that's the thing I would geek out on. So that, like a regular kid, watching Power Rangers and watching, Garfield.
Watching Power Rangers.
Listen, bro. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I want to be an astronaut or like an engineer. So like my entire childhood, I would be in my room taking things apart, never put them back together, but took them apart. And so the goal was to get there. And so of course, trying to get through math, science, that was like my focus. I ended up at Mervo. For the Baltimore people, Mercantile Vocational Technical Senior High School. And it was a cool experience. I was trying to be on that engineering track. And so when we met, when I eventually made it to Baltimore City Community College, Miss Bowie, Mother Bowie, like you said, she came to get me from Mervo. She said, hey, you need to be in this program. And so I told her I want to be an engineer. Like, do y'all have engineering at Baltimore City Community College? She's like, no, but you can transfer to another school. And I said, great. And so I got there, and lo and behold, I don't know if you made it up to like calculus 1 or 2.
Yes, I did. I had made it the 88 credits and dropped out.
Well, you went to Poly.
Correct.
So Poly you all math engineering. Yeah. Bro, I got the calculus too. I was like, let me just go see what the School of Business was talking about. But my dream was to be engineer. Went through BCCC, like you said, got to Morgan, but that's where I kind of hit the wall and I ended up switching paths, and I was lost. at that point in college before I ended up getting involved with Toastmasters, which we can talk about. But that was my dream growing up, was to be astronaut, engineer, basically Elon Musk stole my life. So
we still got time, but he only got nothing on you. So B, now that you're big B, not little B, right? Basically. If you could think back for a second, when was a time in your life where something was extremely difficult and you just didn't know which way life was going to turn, but you survived? Clearly, you survived it. So what was it, and how did you get through that?
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel like, we both grew up in Baltimore, so, just that alone, going through the Baltimore City school system, just sometimes just walking back to your house, you don't even realize it because you're in it, but, it's a blessing to get back home. You hear that statistic, 33% of African American males can expect to see themselves in jail at some point in their lifetime. Those are the stats. And so for me, it's kind of feeling like feeling like I beat the odds a little bit. I actually created this speech called Twisted Statistics, where I talk about the people that influenced my life. And some of those people, my grandfather, who's no longer with us, Miss Bowie certainly was one of those, and then teachers along the way. But in college, I think we put a lot of pressure on kids to kind of have life figured out at 18. And that to me hit hard because, when I actually made it to Morgan, I felt proud. Like everybody was like, I'm first generation everything. First generation college student, first generation entrepreneur now, first generation investor. And so, we're building the plane while we're flying it. We're figuring life out as we go along. Mm-hmm. And so in my case, when imagine getting accepted, Morgan State University is one of the top engineering programs in the country for Black engineers. So made it in, and then basically failing out. And now I went to business, but the reality is, business was a cop-out. The school of business, I was like, that's the only other thing I know. So, and I really didn't even understand what business was. I'm going through marketing classes, I'm going through accounting and finance. It hit hard. Like I lost, so what a lot of people don't know is that we had a full ride at Baltimore City Community College. Right. Morgan said, hey, if you have a 3.5, you can come over. They gave me a full academic scholarship. Wow. So room and board, everything. Now I live down the street, but I got room and board, so I'm out. I'll see you later. But got the full ride, and then got to engineering school. Grades went down. Still had my scholarship, but then transferred to business. I failed accounting, not once, but twice. Lost my scholarship. I was in the honors program. Lost that. Had to move out of Morganview, which was a really nice, at the time, you want to be in Morganview. You have your own place and stuff like that. So all of this stuff was happening. And meanwhile, I'm still working part time. I work for Giant. The grocery store. I worked for Giant for 8 years, man. And so I'm working through college, and I actually got fired from Giant because of being late. So that's the stupidest thing. I remember one time I pulled up, my manager was sitting there watching me, so I was late. I pulled into partial pickup, got out, clocked in, went back and parked my car, and came back. He's like, what are you doing? What you mean? So all of this stuff was happening in the same time, man. And so that was the lowest point in my life. I didn't know where my career was going. I feel like I'd already lost my scholarship, and I feel like I was about to drop out of college. And I remember I went to go see Miss Bowie at the time, and she already knew. She was getting our grades. I have no idea how she got our grades. But I don't know how she was. This ain't in your school. Why don't you have my grades? But, through that experience, she's like, hey, you got a choice. And the catchphrase she always had, these are your dues paying years. Absolutely. What does that mean? There's seed time and harvest time. You could put in the work now or reap the rewards later, or you could slack off now and then, be further behind later. And we already, everybody coming from where I came from is starting to race a life with their shoelaces tied. You know what I'm saying? We're trying, we already got the deck stacked against us. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just give this my all. And so luckily, I think everybody has to have something that focuses their energy. You have to have a combination of something that you're passionate about and something that is really driving you forward. And that thing, because it's not engineering anymore, I'm like, yo, what is that missing piece? And I found it through speaking. I found it through
Let's talk about it right there.
Yeah.
So what exactly made you become a business owner? And are you still doing it today? So like, what is your story as far as business? You talk about your personal life. Now, what is your business story?
Yeah, so Black Speakers Network, I am still doing it today. I started the company in 2016. So our mission is to equip, connect, and inspire what I call the next generation of Black professional speakers. And so what I learned through Morgan and through that process of failing through engineering and going through, the School of Business and actually finding an organization called Toastmasters, like I actually enjoy speaking, but more importantly, I enjoy connecting people who have a message to the audience that they're called to serve. Now, one thing I noticed at Morgan is that if it's one thing that Black people are good at, we could tell a story. We could tell a story, whether it's good, whether it's right or wrong, whether it happened or not, we could tell a story. So every barbershop in America, we're sharing stories. And so when I found that there was a professional speaking industry where people were making money, basically monetizing their message, I fell in love with it, man. I was like, this is where I need to be. But more importantly, when I would show up in rooms and I would not see what I saw at Morgan, which is diversity, Black excellence in the making, I was like, I got to do something about this. Like, you've heard of like some top speakers, like Black speakers' names come to mind: Les Brown, Eric Thomas, yeah, Lisa Nichols. But I'm like, there has to be more than this. And so, in Baltimore, there was really a vacuum for people weren't thinking about being a professional speaker. And so, like any entrepreneur, just like you, man, like you find a gap and you fill it. And so nobody was in the space. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to start Black Speakers Network. And I'm going to be unapologetic about Black because, it came from an HBCU. I saw the talent. People just didn't know the path. And so I created the pathway. And so we got started with a Twitter page, like everybody else, a Twitter page and a little Squarespace website, and started to grow from there, man. And so today, we have a community of 12,000 current inspiring professional speakers. But I knew I didn't want it to just, like, no offense to, whatever, because I had a company before that called Skills, and I was running around the city just doing seminars and workshops, but I didn't want BSN to just be a Baltimore brand. I wanted it to be proudly Baltimore based, but to be a global brand. So we got folks in now South Africa, Nigeria, the Caribbean, the UK, Toronto, and in every major market in the United States. And our focus remains to support speakers and connecting to the audience that they're called to serve. And so I still love speaking. I enjoy it. I'm still a certified introvert. You can just see it on my LinkedIn profile and stuff like that. Like, I still enjoy time to myself, but what I enjoy more is making sure that people's message is able to reach the masses now.
You're so Baltimore. So I'm gonna ask you something, right? Mm-hmm. But you only can pick one or two. You can't deliberate, you can't explain yourself until after the fact.
That's fine.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You're so Baltimore. If you're so Baltimore, I should say. Who has a better athletic team, Coppin or Morgan?
Morgan.
You said that a little bit. Okay, now why?
Because I went to Morgan.
That's a bias.
You said you made this.
You gotta tell the truth. Like,
first of all, a couple things. You said athletic team. That covers like a broad range.
Yeah,
that's okay. Like football, basketball.
Okay, so football.
Okay, football. Yeah, still Morgan. Are they in the same division? Are they in the same division? I think they play basketball sometimes. Yeah. Okay.
But it's just funny,
But I got mad love for both. People like Coppin is like the forgotten jewel. I think sometimes of the HBCUs in Baltimore.
That's my point, because everybody remembers Coppin State College, not Coppin State University. So that it's just to throw you off. It's just not funny. But glad to know your fellow Bears are proud of you.
Yo, I gotta represent, man. I mean, that's the same thing with the Ravens. Even if I didn't like football, I'm just be like, yo, that's my team.
So Brian, often success is looked at as money, but to me, success is what you do in the community. So, what community work have you done, if any? Just briefly tell us, like, what community work have you done?
Yeah, so some of the things I'm most proud of is our partnership with Black Professional Men. And so Black Professional Men Incorporated is an organization founded in the 90s. And so they're focused on ensuring the future of the African American male. So they provide scholarships, lots of community and civil engagement across the city. In addition to that, one of our newer partnerships is with the Urban Alliance. And so they provide internships for high school youth. And we actually just hired a high school intern to work with us. She started last week. So really excited about that. So just being able to give back has always been like at the forefront.
That's powerful. Speaking of youth and speaking of high school kids, if you could tell the youth one thing to hold on to, what would it be? What would be your words of wisdom to the youth watching this?
I mean, we started a conversation with Ms. Bowie, so, when she talked about those dues paying years, I mean, I'm a continue that vein, man. I think a lot of times we live in a world where, like, it's a microwave mentality. Like, we see stuff on Instagram, we want it now. Like, we want the money now, we want the success now. But, there's no problem that can't be solved with consistent effort. And so I think we need to adopt, I think it's fine to be in like kind of hustle mentality. Like if you gotta, get money now, get money now. If you have to, solve a problem now, that's fine. But be thinking about long-term, the future, versus just short-term satisfaction.
That's definitely a powerful way to do that. And speaking on the city and speaking on the youth and just us as a whole, the city, so many people, lose that vision here. Where do you see Baltimore being in the next 5 years with the new mayor and this uprise of the black intellect, or at least more so on the forefront of black respect around the nation? Where do you see Baltimore fall into the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think Baltimore has an important role to play in the nation in general. When you look at cities like Baltimore, Detroit, there's pockets of the city where there are real challenges that need to be addressed. I went to school with Brandon Scott, and I've seen him, kind of go through this, he's a lifelong civil servant. And so, I look at people like that and I see inspiration and I see hope because, when you look at the challenges that are there, you can't ignore them. But on the other side, I see real opportunity. And so if we don't give up on the city, I know I'm personally not going to give up on it. I think there is a lot of talent here. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think we're becoming one of the largest technology hubs in the country. So in general, like Baltimore is a place where I think people are going to continue to like reshape what it means in the broader spectrum of our economy and really create, more opportunities for the future. I think Baltimore's going to be a bright spot.
So you're not leaving?
So right now, no, I don't have any plans to leave now. But my part of my goal is to be like a global citizen. And so, but I always want to have a foothold here in Baltimore. Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. I want to see the world.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. I'm going to see the world. I'm going to be a traveled brother. Okay,
yes.
All right. But there you have it, folks. I mean, I don't even know what to say, but I will say thank you for tuning in to Be More Like Us 410. And remember to fight the comment battle down below. Tell us what you think. What was the dopest part of his interview? What's the 12,000 speakers? What? 12,000 speakers? What's up? Like, I'm about to be 12,001. That's how I feel. I'm about to join the Black Speakers Network. You said, come on in. Y'all heard that, right? You can't go back. You can't go back. He just told me, come on in. All right? So be looking forward. I make my announcement. I'm part of BSN. Be looking forward to that. But no, like, click, and subscribe to the channel, man. Make sure you tune in next week. We got another special guest, man. Because guess what? We need to learn about gun safety. See you next week.